Hello, how are you? When I opened up the folder for Stars in Your Eyes, I discovered I do not have a Playbill. I knew that there was something in there. I just had it in my head that it was a Playbill. And I realized there's actually something great we can do with this. This will give us an opportunity to look at something in a little bit different way, just sort of a palate cleanser. Here's what I do have. This is a handbill that they would put inside of a Playbill. Most of what we would get from a Playbill, we can get from here. We can also weigh in on what the critics had to say about this piece. This show opened in February of 1939, produced by Dwight Deere Wyman, who was of the Deere tractor family. Ethel Merman, Jimmy Durante, she has the prominent place on that side. He has that one after their railroad track billing. New York's #1 musical hit by J.P. McAvoy, Dorothy Fields, and Arthur Schwartz. In the Playbill, according to my other sources, this would have been credited as book by, lyrics by Dorothy Fields, music by Arthur Schwartz. It's listed it as kind of like a group effort. Stars in Your Eyes with Tamara. Now she's with the Ballet Russe, Tamara Tumanova. So I hope I'm pronouncing that okay. And then Richard Carlson, Mildred Natwick. If I thought I was going to see her in a show tonight, I would be so happy. Actually, if I thought I was going outside of my home tonight, I would be so happy. Al Goodman and his orchestra. It's at the Majestic Theater on 44th Street, right where we still have the Majestic Theater. Love these drawings. Thinking he's kind of a Jimmy Durante guy. A couple of other people in this. Dan Daly, she will later work with him as her husband in There's No Business Like Show Business. Nora Kay, Jerome Robbins were in the chorus. So I think dance was a big part of it. Yeah, not listed here would be that the director was Joshua Logan. He's just done I Married an Angel and Knickerbocker Holiday, I think. And this is the third thing he does. So he's at the beginning of his big directing career. We will see him again with Annie Get Your Gun. Dances by Carl Randall. Settings by Joe Malziner, who has a big connection to the University of Utah. George Maxwell, I see you. Costumes by John Hambleton. Merman had some big songs in this. I think A Lady Needs a Change is one of the big. This Is It. I'll Pay the Check, which is another great one that I have to learn. Let's look at what the critics had to say about this show. But first, let me tell you a little bit. It was set in Hollywood. Merman played a movie siren. And Jimmy Durante plays an idea man at one of the studios. He carries around a polo mallet. Every once in a while it would like crack and sawdust would shoot out of it and he'd say, "Toy mites." And it was very, very funny, apparently. Oh, there's also a famous scene that's talked about, I've read about several times, where Richard Carlson is the young leading man in her movie and she's trying to seduce him. Says, "Come sit down by me." And he comes over and sits down and she's kind of pitching woo or whatever. He's just about to come in for a kiss and he sees a copy of Alice in Wonderland on the shelf. He said, "Oh, Alice in Wonderland, that's my favorite. Would you read it to me?" He loves to be read to, so they get all settled in. And she says, "Chapter 1, Down the Rabbit Hole." Alice was getting very tired of sitting by her sister with nothing to do. Boom. Then the lights change to show the passing of time. And when they come up again, she's like really, ugh. Chapter 11, Who Stole the Tarts? That apparently fractured the audience. She found it one of the great moments of her career. So let's look at what some of the critics said. Exuberant. Is that a word? That's a new word to me. Let's look at what Brooks Atkinson said at the New York Times. "Let Ethel Merman, Jimmy Durante step forward and receive any prizes that may be handy. La Merman plays the part with enormous relish. She knows comedy as thoroughly as she knows singing. Her screen hussy is enormously hearty and enjoyable. Mantle of the News. Here, in substance, is as near a duplication of I Married an Angel as one producer could reasonably attempt, and from all signs discernible at the first performance, quite as big a hit. Eventually, at the New Yorker. Stars in Your Eyes is Dwight Deere Wyman's latest contribution to his own hit parade. This is a pretty late date for me to be going overboard for Ethel Merman, but I like to take my time in such matters. If I am late in discovering it, all right, I've been a dope, but she's got me now. The Herald Tribune. Mr. Wyman has provided us with another hit. Ethel Merman and Jimmy Durante are at the top of their form. Mr. Durante once more convinces me that he is one of the greatest men in the world. Individually, they are nothing short of superb. Ross with the World Telegram said, "Here's Stars in Your Eyes, and add it to the season's barrel of fun, for hitching Miss Merman to the demoniacal Durante in a musical show was nothing short of a stroke of genius." I think Vinton Friedley did it just last season, but they leave as much devastation and as many aching ribs behind them as you will find in the aisles at Hell's a-Poppin'. So it got good reviews. 127 performances. So that's a pretty short run. This is a little bit less, does a little bit less business. One of the main things that was happening that year was the World's Fair. And there was some speculation that it was just a little too much competition for Broadway to bear. So it went by the wayside. Oh, one of the things I found is that J.P. McAvoy, who wrote the book to this, was a really funny writer. And he may be the person who created the phrase, "cut to the chase." He also wrote this one. The Japanese have a word for it. It's judo, the art of conquering by yielding. The Western equivalent of judo is yes, dear. Pretty much think that's it. And get ready, because next up comes Panama Hattie. And this one is remarkable for a number of reasons. So, one last thing I want to show you. I did Red Hot and Blue in San Francisco. On the opening night, Greg McKellen, who I mentioned before, is my director. He gave me for opening night this picture. He had it framed. It's a picture of Jimmy Durante and Ethel Merman all dressed up in their Easter finery. There we go. He gave it to me, of course, because Red Hot and Blue was Jimmy Durante, Ethel Merman. This particular one was from April of 1939. Oh my gosh. April 9th, 1939. That's the night before my mother was born. Wow. Huh. So it actually wasn't from Red Hot and Blue. It's a picture of them from Stars in Your Eyes. So I thought you might enjoy taking a look at that. I hate that. There it is. Isn't that cute? All right. Okay. So that's it. I'll see you next time. Now I know that Ethel Merman is not the first CD on the stack for makeout music, but the ballads were being written for her, and there she was singing them with surprising tenderness. This is it, my